Hello, we're coming back with this GCiers podcast. We are today with three of our colleagues, starting from Emily in Vancouver. Hi, Emily, how are you?
Andrew, I'm doing well.
How about the situation in the pandemic in Canada?
Canada overall, it should be getting better. In my city, it's going up, and we still have to start school in a few weeks, but it should be okay.
Good to know. We have here also Jan from Lleida, that's our city, my city and the city. What about Jan? How are you?
I'm doing fine, Andre. I'm doing fine too.
Good, and how do you see the pandemic, the coronavirus situation here?
Well, next week we're starting school, and I hope we can keep doing this in-person learning. So we hope figures don't get very high, and we can keep doing that for the entire course. That's what I hope.
Let's hope that your words are listened. And then we have Merul from India. Hi, Merul, how are you?
Hello, I'm doing great. And here in India, the situation is getting slightly worse now because we're having a lot of cases recorded every day. And schools are also set to open. So I don't know what would happen, but I just hope it gets better.
Let's hope the situation improves and does not go to a worse situation. So let's go for the podcast today for the contents. And to start, we will have Emily explaining something about JAMstack. I never listened about JAMstack. So Emily, we are for you. Explain.
So recently, static site generators like Hugo, Jekyll, and Gatsby have been appearing frequently on web development forums, and there's been a lot of discussion about how they improve developer productivity and workflows. They make it simpler for developers and content creators to work together with tools like CMSs, static sites, and the JAMstack. JAMstack specifically is an emerging technology in the web development world. With developers now increasingly aware of performance and speed, many companies are now moving to the JAMstack. But what is the JAMstack, you ask?
Yes, we
JAMstack
ask.
stands for
Sorry. We ask because
JavaScript.
we have to know what JAMstack is. Go for it.
The JAMstack stands for JavaScript, APIs, and markup. So JAMstack sites usually don't rely on server-side generation and rendering, and they're usually a lot faster than SSR sites. JavaScript covers like the dynamic functions like login or bringing content from APIs, which can provide authentication and interactions through the JavaScript. And then powering all this is a static site generator working with markup languages like Markdown, which we use to write documentation at Liquid Galaxy. Jamstack sites don't necessarily have to use all three of these technologies, but the thing that they all have in common is that they don't need a web server, which is usually slow and expensive. Server-side CMSs like WordPress, Drupal, and Joomla aren't Jamstack, and neither are applications that depend on a backend language like Ruby, for example. The benefits of the Jamstack are numerous. They give you faster performance because you don't need to communicate with the server. It's less expensive because without the server costs, you don't have to pay for it, obviously. Not using up those server minutes, and you can also host them with CDNs, which are usually cheaper. As well, you get an easier developer experience as we can just focus on the content and design instead of editing server code as well. These are just a few benefits of the Jamstack. Personally, when I build websites with the Jamstack, I find it's easier to template content out, and I don't have to worry about managing a server as well. Writing content is also more distraction-free, in my opinion.
So sorry for interrupting you, but for me to have it clear, so you don't need a server? This is serverless? You don't need it?
Yeah, you don't need a server at all. So basically what you do is you use a static site generator like Hugo, for example, and you feed it basically a theme and then a bunch of markdown files. And then the generator will transform this markdown to basically a set of HTML. And you can just host that on a content delivery network, which is a lot cheaper than maintaining servers.
And what about the implementation of this Jamstack stack? I mean, is there plenty of people using it at this moment?
Oh yeah, a popular website hosting app called Netlify is completely on the Jamstack, and lots of other websites, like I believe several coding blogs, are moving towards it, as well as like larger publications, because with so many users and so many writers, they can't manage like all the traffic efficiently. So Jamstack provides an easier and cheaper and more productive way to handle all of this.
And what about websites that need a little bit more of design? You can use CSS.
Oh yeah, definitely. You can just make a custom theme, and then that theme gets applied to all your HTML and CSS.
Do you know why I'm asking these questions, Emily? Because we have something all the time long. We have people saying we need a new web page for the Liquid Galaxy community, but we need something that works, and I don't want to start a new process because the page we have now was developed by GCI students 2 years ago in 2018. It works under it's a template under Blogger. It's not 100% correct now. It has a little bit of problems in some areas, but at least it's a site that offers us the speed we need for publicating information, to publishing information, and it's hosted on Google Blogger. We don't have any kind of cost. The only cost is about a few dollars every year for the domain, around 12, something like this. But maybe we can start a project. What do you think, guys? Merul, what do you think? Maybe can be interested to do? To start a project for the Liquid Galaxy community under JAMstack?
Well, I can, but I'm more of a MERN stack developer, Mongo, Express, React, and Node. So I haven't really tried JAMstack yet. I was about to ask a question regarding that.
Let's go, please. But still, I think you maybe we can leave Emily ending his presentation. Do you have at least a few more words to say, and then we can make other questions? Sorry for interrupting you. Go ahead, Emily.
So I was going to talk about some other major benefits of JAMstack. So basically, it's a lot easier to integrate version control, like Git, for example. And you have the ability to create smaller individual deploys. And if there's a problem with one of those deploys, you can easily roll back just like you can with Git. And it's also a lot easier to build and deploy, especially on most web hosting places. You can automate a lot of the tedious work, and it's really easy to set up. So since 2015, we've been seeing a lot of the benefits of JAMstack, and I truly think they'll be a major player of the future of the internet.
Very nice. So, Merul, go ahead with your question.
Do you think it is viable to make complex web apps? Let's say I want to make a chat application. Would that be possible with JAMstack? Because that requires a lot of server-side handling. But what we can split it up into is an API which is developed separately, and we can handle all the calls using JAMstack if it's faster.
Yeah, that's usually how a lot of more complex web apps that are built with JAMstack usually work. They just use JavaScript to pull information from APIs. So I'm not sure how effective a chat application, for example, would be. But as you can see, Netlify runs a complete web hosting service. They have all their options, all their atomic deploys, and they can manage all of this with just a JAMstack. So I'm sure you can figure some JAMstack solution out.
Jan, what do you think about this stack?
I didn't know this technology or this technology, but I think it's really interesting, and I'll be willing to learn more about it.
So let me make a proposal, Emily. Do you think maybe one day we can make some kind of little workshop from you and make it public?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
it's a lot. It's very easy to get set up. Actually, when I first got started, I was also concerned. Oh, I have to learn all of these new generators. But the documentation for most of them is really clear, so it's pretty easy.
Okay, so we are live on the podcast, but let me launch this proposal. So we will talk later after the podcast, but let's try to make this maybe for the next podcast next month. We can make a separate part, and we can have a workshop. I don't know how much time you can require for a workshop. 15 minutes, 20, half an hour. Or more. I'm asking only. Emily, what do you think? Half an hour?
To get set up with a basic site, yeah, I think half an hour is pretty
Okay,
good.
so maybe for the next GCiers podcast, we will do that, because I think it's a very interesting content. I'm also willing to try it. When I will see it running, I will think about if it's usable for our website. Our website has many contents and plenty of posts already inside. Maybe this is difficult to port, and also it has a very nice design. But I think for maybe for the documentation or maybe for handling the code. I understand that this is more oriented to that kind of questions. Maybe we can use instance of JAMstack. I say instance, but I don't really understand where the codes are and the contents are really hosted. You say in a CDN. I mean, where the content is really hosted from a website that you develop on JAMstack.
Basically, you put in a build step into your deployment, which builds all your markdown into HTML. And then that HTML you can just put on like GitHub pages or like Netlify, simple stuff like that.
Yeah. I understand you use free services already available in the internet, like
they're all
GitHub pages, and then using that technology, you just generate a new website from these other contents hosted on this free site. We have to take a look at it. Very nice. Thank you very much for your presentation, Emily. And if there are no more questions, let's go to today's Merul presentation. Merul, what do you want to talk to us today?
Hello. So some of you might remember in the last podcast, I told you about an application which I'm building for Liquid Galaxy. It was about controlling a Liquid Galaxy setup using the motion sensors in your mobile phone. So the reason I made this app was because there was a GSOC project of 2011, which got deprecated and it did not work any longer. So I had to refactor it, but a quest which started as something to refactor an old application just turned out to making an application from the ground up. It is totally different to the one which was working earlier in terms of the process it goes through. The older one was made on Java on Android Studio. This one is a web app which you can use because web technologies tend to deprecate very slowly. And we have some things from HTML3 which still work. So I'm pretty sure that this would hold working for a long time in the future. So the way it works is there are two aspects to the main code. One is the load server, which runs all the pages that you can visit. And the second is a WebSocket server. It handles real-time communication between the setup and your mobile phone. So all the motion sensor data is being constantly streamed onto your phone via a WebSocket server. And all that data is processed and it simulates key presses corresponding to the direction you want to move it on. So for example, arrow keys on Google Earth move the Earth around. So an arrow key press is made whenever a corresponding movement is made via the motion sensor. So that is how it works. And let's get to a live demo of it. I'll just turn off my camera.
So to have it clear, you're going to make a demo live?
Yes.
Are you ready for this? You know that live is always difficult. No, I have to say two things. It's nice if you want to make the demo live, but I have also the video you recorded for the Liquid Galaxy community website ready. I mean, it's up to you. We can have the video. It's 2 minutes video, or you can go for the demo live. What do you want?
I'm pretty confident. I'll rather have it
live. That's nice to be.
I'll just turn off my camera for a sec. I'll reposition it.
So maybe Emily and then we can roll the drums, something like to see if this is going to work, you know?
Yes, because it's funny because last week or 2 weeks ago we were doing the GSOC final presentation, and some students were also trying to do some live demonstrations, even though you advised them to just put the recorded video. And finally, it was just a very small thing, but it didn't work as he expected. That's life, and I'm guessing you at the end of the day you learn from those errors, which is good.
Yeah, that's good to remember that we hold the GSOC demo day at the end of August, and we have plenty of videos. It was a large journey. Jan, you were with us there. It was 4 hours and 11 minutes stream. That's a lot. A full afternoon that is available on internet for anybody that wants to see.
So as you can see, I have my phone here.
Okay.
And I'll enter the IP and connect to it. And here I have my computer, which is running the node server. So here is the log for the node server, and I'll just start an instance of Google Earth. And the phone is just establishing the connection to the server. And okay, so the connection has been established. It is zooming out, and I can move it up. Is my video feed working? And just a sec.
So just so that people know, here you're running a Liquid Galaxy installation
It's just
in a
a,
virtual
it's,
box.
This is just a normal Google
Google
Earth
Earth.
one right now.
Okay.
But this one should work on both the legacy and the new installation methods. So it works for both of them. And here, I'm just going to establish a connection, and it has been established. If I tip it over, it starts to move up. As you can see, my video feed is lagging a little bit right now. It just moved up, and you can zoom in and zoom out. Are the changes being captured on screen?
Not really, but this is live, so we are not seeing the changes.
I'll just reconnect. Yep, here. So
Don't worry, you are showing us your real installation, and we will roll over later the full video. That's 2 minutes, so you can change the camera again to you, Merul, please. So
Okay,
as you were saying, Jan, life is life. So sometimes you prepare for hours something to run, and then even if you're on your own setup, everything seems to be working. But what happened with some of the students? For example, let's make a remember of the Gabriel CSAT forecast situation. That was the most funny. I told this guy, just please, between the demos, make a full reset of the Liquid Galaxy. It's a simple command, or just make a reboot of the machines, just because maybe other student has put some kind of tasks running on the background, or I don't know what kind of files can be open. I don't know. Just make it clear. So he didn't follow my I would say instructions, but it's something like something that it's not as hard to think. I mean, it's a logical stuff. He didn't follow instructions, and his demos fail. And what we do? We have a funny moment, Jan. We just say, if you're gonna fail, we are gonna throw you some stuff. You remember? And then suddenly we have plenty of people of our colleagues on the meet. And I remember Charañas from Netherlands, an Indian girl that makes something like, "Oh, what's this?" Because we start to throw stuff over Gabriel because he was not attending. I mean, I say, you have to do this. You didn't do. Your demo failed. So it's not a problem at all. We will roll the video later, and just please have tried. Okay, no problem. So any questions? Have you tried, Emily, to use have you tried to use the Merul application? Have you used it?
Oh yeah, I tried it, and it does show up a little bit better when you not have so many tasks open, but it does work.
It is working. Fantastic. As I said, Merul, we are gonna go back to the laboratories in next week in middle of September, and one of the very first tasks we have to do is just to try your application and make feedback to you if any feedback is needed. And of course, this is already published in our website. Let me try to change now to the left monitor. I'm gonna show the 1 second. You're not seeing it, but I'm gonna show this is on the screen now, is the Liquid Galaxy site, and I am showing the post you wrote about your experience with the different screenshots, and also here we have the video of the demo that we are gonna run later. Perfect. So, any other question, Jan, about how this was made? You have any interest? No?
I find it very interesting. I haven't got the chance to try it yet, but I will.
Think about one very important thing, you and all people is listening to us, that this is not only for a Liquid Galaxy. It runs simply against a Google Earth instance. With, of course, you have to run the server that Mirul has developed, but it is a very useful something for making presentations. Imagine you have a screen, regular PC with maybe in a school with a projector, and then you want to make a presentation, and then you just take your phone, and with your phone you move it, and then you are moving the Google Earth, and you can be making whatever explanation you need. So this is a tool that it's really useful, and it's already published in our website. Another question, maybe, Live Mirror, is that maybe you have to publish also the code. Your code is in your GitHub?
Yeah, the code is in the GitHub, which I had sent. I'll just.
So I will cross an email with you and or my mentors for inserting aggregating your code to the main Liquid Galaxy GitHub. Okay, we will do that later. Okay, so let's go for the today's third presentation, and this is your time. Jan, what do you want to explain us today?
So I'm going to talk about, as I said before, about how technology is going to help during the beginning of this school year. It's not as technical as my colleagues did, but I think it's important, or it's interesting to see what technology has brought and what some schools have done in order to start this year as normal as possible, even though we are in times of pandemic. So the beginning of this new school year is probably going to be the most dystopian year we have ever experienced. Many of the schools do not even know if they can open, and some of them are reluctant to start. Today, I'm going to talk about how technology can help during times of uncertainty, and what are some of the smart solutions teachers have adopted to start this academic year as smoothly as possible. First of all, we saw during the peak of the pandemic that online learning was a reliable option. Social distancing was completely necessary, and the population wasn't fully aware of the risk of the virus. It allowed to keep classes from home with software like Google Meet or Zoom. It allowed teachers to continue with their courses, and it even allowed students to gain some computer skills and understand how most of these online learning platforms work. However, this remote learning might not always be the best solution, as it doesn't guarantee a fully equality of learning and the same opportunities for everyone. That's where in-person learning should take part in. Technology can help also in this scope, allowing buildings to, for example, automate infrastructures to avoid contact with shared facilities. At the same time, all the documents could be digitalized and uploaded to the cloud in order to avoid transferring physical paper unnecessary. Finally, infrared cameras could be implemented to automatically measure the temperature of everyone who enters the building, being able in this way to possibly detect COVID-19 possible infected people. When students return to school in New Albany, Ohio, I'm going to give you an example of what a school did in order to smartly start a school. They were carefully watched as they wandered through red big buildings and when they wandering through their lawns. The school district with 5 schools and 4,800 students planned to test a system that would require each student to wear an electronic beacon to track their location to within a few feet. That technology logs which students and teachers are in each classroom throughout the day, and they hope that this technology can prevent or minimize an outbreak of this fatidic virus that prevents all of us from being in a normal situation. I think that is a really smart solution that this school in Ohio has adopted, and I think that should encourage all of us to start thinking new ways of innovating and creating new options to start. Now it's the school year, but later it might be some sort of business model. So I would say that to conclude, technology has helped everyone in getting better conditions of learning. As of today, maybe it does not guarantee the best equality between students, but it is the closest we can get to an ideal solution, without forgetting that we are in the middle of a pandemic.
So this is a preview for the application which I have made, and I'll just start up the code real quick. And here I'm starting the server. The server runs on Node, so I'll just start the instance of Node. Okay, so it's running on port 5000. I would just connect to that using my phone. I'm using Firefox for mobile. On Chrome, there is some problem with permissions. You have to change the permissions before making it work. So here I'm just entering the IP of the master machine, and it connects to the master. I messed up a little bit, and I will just do it again. Apply, and connection has been established, and as you can see, there is some activity on the terminal. So the moment I bring Google Earth onto focus, it starts to move according to the way I move my phone. So if I move it, I'll just get a better angle a bit later in the video, but as you can see, by tilting it, I can move the Google Earth instance towards the direction I want it to. So I'm just going to grab the camera and move it into a little better view. So if I move it forward, if I tip my phone forward, it moves up. If I move it sideways, it moves sideways down. And to zoom in, I can twist it like this, and it would zoom in. And twisting it in the opposite direction zooms it out. And everything is pretty real time. It is done using WebSockets, so it is almost real time, the communication between the server and the phone's client.
So, okay, let's go for the end of the program. Emily has just left us because she has other stuff to do. But we still have with us Jan and Merul. Jan, hope you have a good return to high school next 14th, I think.
Yes, that is correct. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And let's hope that you stay there for, not for days or for weeks, but all the year. And
Yes.
start to think about new content, because we will be recording the podcast next month again. And Merul, what about you? Do you have any idea? Do you want to talk about anything special for the next podcast? Are you starting to think about?
Well, I have a rough idea, but I haven't really finalized on what exactly I would be speaking about. But I'd like to give an exposure to an underrated open source software that's really great, but it's not much known about. Like Emily talked about JAMstack today, so I want to shed some light on something which is underrated, but it's really good.
Very nice. So start to think about. We will record in a month about. We will announce the dates. And thank you very much for coming. Say bye-bye.